I call this meeting to order.
Oh, you have to deal.
Not too much anymore.
It's always funny.
This meeting's called to order. Deputy Clerk, will you please take attendance?
Just going to do a roll call by district. We'll just say here. John Andrew, District 1.
Here.
Diana Hammer, District 1.
Excused.
Lori Fitzgerald, District 1. Here. Patricia Bick, District 1. Joseph, is it Lehman or Lehman?
Lame.
I just heard both. District 2. Joe, are you here?
He often logs in.
Oh, I see him online right there. And Nancy Perry, District 2. Thank you. And House Rat, District 2. Here. Sonda Gobb, District 2. Here. Jeff Brown, District 3.
Here.
You. Paige Myers, District 3. Here. Emily Mowers, District 3.
Excused.
Bob Schlock, District 4. Janet Zimmerman, District 4. Chase Eaton, District 4.
Here.
Ben Kuiper, District 4.
Here.
Katie Ryan, District 5.
Here.
Ryan Swatch. I'm sorry, you're gonna have to help me with that one. District 5.
Wilker.
Wilfer, okay. Dylan Klantmeyer, District 7. Bob Haybeck, District 7. Denise Roth Barber, District 7. Susan Steffens, District 7. And Sam Brown, District 5.
Here.
Thank you.
Are the people online able to?
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
They are. We have Will.
Five.
No.
Okay. Who's online?
Jeff Brown, Joe Lehman, and a member of the public.
So able to do non-voting business, or we can't do anything until after that.
We can wait.
Yeah, so we will not be able to conduct business until we have quorum. If anyone has the numbers of some of these people, go ahead and give them a text because we need one more.
Denise is coming. She's coming from home. I mean, she's gonna be on.
Ben, are we allowed to talk about things as long as we don't make a decision?
You can't, no.
I think we can talk about this our next day.
We need 3 more.
We will
It's
stand
the
at
state
ease.
law, really?
We'll stand at ease for 5 minutes.
Sorry.
Deputy Clerk, can you please confirm quorum?
Yes, with 13 members present. Quorum's confirmed.
Thank you. Thanks for everyone's patience on that. With that, we will move into public comment. Is there any public comment on anything that is not on tonight's agenda? Any public comment on anything not on tonight's agenda? Deputy Clerk, is there any online?
You know, hands raised all.
With that, we will move into public comment on agenda items. Is there any public comment on agenda items?
Nancy asked me to come for the,
Can you please state your name for the record?
sorry, my name's Hannah Stanton. I live at 1038 East Broadway Street. I think new business item C, the consideration of flooding abatement project for Broadway Street. My property is quite often impacted by when we have those sudden heavy rainstorms. And we've been working with the city commission to propose some enhancements to the drainage on Broadway Street to try and alleviate the flooding that comes on my property. It's happened almost every year, if not a couple times a year since we moved in back in 2019. So we actually met with the city engineers a couple weeks ago. And I think we've come up with an okay plan. I don't know what else Nancy wanted me to bring up here tonight, or she just asked that I come and be present.
Thank you. We'll get to this at a different part in the agenda, and I'll call for more public comment after discussion if you'd like. So, okay. Moving on, we have city commission update. Deputy Clerk, is there any city commissioners online?
No.
Seeing none, we will move on. Next, we have the minutes. All of the minutes were sent out to you. I will now entertain any changes to the minutes. And if there are none, I'd entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved by Eaton, seconded by Fitzgerald. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we'll move into a vote by acclamation. Are you comfortable with that?
Yes.
Yeah. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Right, motion passes. At this time, we will swear in our new member, Sam Brown from District 5. I have a little script for you. Let me get mine. Let's go ahead and raise the right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
Samuel Brown,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I'll support, protect, and defend
that I will support, protect, and defend
the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Montana,
the Constitution of the State of Montana,
and the Charter and ordinances of the City of Helena,
and the Charter and ordinances of the City of Helena,
and that I'll discharge the duties of the office of
and that I will discharge the duties of the office of
Helena Citizens Council District 5 Representative
Helena Citizens Council District 5 Representative
with fidelity.
with fidelity.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Welcome aboard.
All right.
I can sign that and then give that to the deputy clerk and she'll get the mayor's signature on that.
All right.
All right, at this time, we will welcome our guest speaker, Lois Olson with the Clyde County Fire Group.
Thank you. I sent in a little presentation to put up here. I guess I'd rather sit than be in front of the screen, if that's all right.
Yes.
So, yeah, actual slide throughout. And do you just want me to jump or
Just let me know.
something? We can go past this. This is who we are.
Okay.
We are, and then to the next one, please. We're a small nonprofit. We've been around since 1984. It was actually a Lewis and Clark County program from 1999 until about 2013. And then it became a nonprofit, as money losing programs do in government. You become a nonprofit. So we are here, and our main job is to work with all of our partners, federal, state, private, to do as much wildfire education and as much fire mitigation and just try to make us all aware we live in a habitat that fire belongs in and will be in regardless of what we want to do. We're very small. Right now, I'm the executive director as a volunteer. I've been that for 1.5 years. And I'm thrilled to say we just hired an employee on Monday who's a part-time person, will be our grants manager. So we have 2 fuel specialists who go around to homes and help people with their understanding what kind of fire danger they may be in. And we have a volunteer accountant, hoping soon to change that as well. And we have a 5-member board. We'd love to have more board members, although I want to thank you all for doing what you're doing, and I don't imagine you extra time. And that's pretty much who we are. We don't really have an office. We work out at Montana City Volunteer Fire Department. They give us a space out there, and that's kind of, yeah, we're just kind of at large in our homes. So we do acquire grants. We do all kinds of public presentations, and I will offer this several times probably during this time I'm speaking. If you have any groups that we can come and speak to in the city, we would love to do that, because city residents are no more safe than people that are living out of the city. And we really feel like we are. Fire is truly a danger to us all. We have the Firewise demonstration garden in Montana City. I'm going to send this around. It's an example of the kind of information that we have out there. And I think I have a slide on it. I'll do a little more of a blurb about it. We coordinate closely with all the volunteer fire departments, the rural fire departments, as well as the city of Helena. And we have a monthly meeting every second Thursday out of Montana City that's open to the public if anybody wants to come. And it's just kind of a get together with our partners. So last year, we did 202 home ignition zone assessments, which is where we send a fuel specialist to your home. They take about an hour, hour and a half to 2 hours with you on your home, give you an electronic printout of photos of your home, individual pictures of issues you may have, discussions with you of issues that you may have. We did, and those are all grant funded, so they are free to the property owner. We do those. I forgot to say, we are Lewis and Clark, Jefferson, and Broward counties. We did over 100 fuel treatment plans, which means after you've done your home assessment, if you live outside the city, we will develop for you a fuel treatment plan that explains to you exactly what to do individual trees on your property and how to make it more safe. And we would actually do that in the city also if anyone asked us for that. 75 completed projects last year, 360 acres treated, and that's all on private land. Our federal and state partners do much larger acreages than we do. We focus on the home. That's our specialty. $350,000 in grant funds went into these communities last year. And the garden, that's a big feature. So if anybody's lived in Montana their whole lives, I think they're probably very fire-wise. People that haven't, it is different. I grew up in Montana and I worked for the Forest Service for 32 years. And when I started fighting fires in the 1980s, it's different today. And it's very dangerous today. And we have this huge fuel buildup. We do have climate change. We have weather change, whatever you want to call it. And we have a lot of homes that have been built in the WUI. And I think what we kind of fail to recognize is that Helena, especially the south side, is in the WUI, which is the wildland urban interface. Okay, go to the next one. And this is just a picture of the fires and how many fires we have. We don't need to belabor it. I think we know what that is in Montana. Next one. So there's 3 things that influence fire: weather, topography, and fuel. And the only thing that we can affect is fuel. And anyone that watched the news and saw anything about, actually year after year after year, this year was Los Angeles, before that it was Paradise, California, before that it was Boulder, Colorado. It's been here, Denton, Montana burned up out on the prairie. So nobody is really immune from fire, and our job is to try to make everybody safer. So what we try to do is we try to reduce this side of things from happening in the city, outside the city, get the fuels, get trees limbed up, get the fuel out from between the trees. And we have 3 zones. Zone 1 and Zone 2 is really all that affects us in town. Zone 1 is 0 to 5 feet. Zone 2 is 5 to 30 feet. And they're areas that we're trying to, try to show here that 0 to 5 is where we really don't want much of anything. Mowed grass, gravel with a few plants, concrete, whatever. Try to keep the fire away from your home as best you can. And zone 2 is where we can have a little more vegetation that isn't not junipers, please. That's way out for us. Okay. And then there's 3 kinds of exposure, and I don't know if people always think about this. We think of the direct flame front that's going to come to your home and burn you up. And that really is not the thing that generally burns most homes. What burns most homes is embers coming from a fire. You see those big fire columns, they're carrying burning pine cones, chunks of trees that are on fire, and it comes ahead of the fire, and as it cools, it drops, and it drops on your home. So any place that you have ember, something to catch an ember, it's just like you think about snow. What at your home catches snow? It's going to be the same with a fire, and to catch embers in those same areas. And radiant heat is the other one. If you have a lot of vegetation, and especially very flammable vegetation, which happens in our area to be junipers, conifer trees that have lots of limbs down low, those are the things that are going to burn up your home. So these are all the things I just talked about. Driveway condition, we don't actually think about that in Helena sometimes, but over on the southeast part of town, there are one-way in, one-way out areas. And I just don't know how people are going to get out of there. And you really need to think about that. How do I get out in any situation, but in a wildfire in particular, when it's smoky and you're in a panic, and it's a thing to really be aware of. Go to the next one. So this is a picture of a home, the last place any of us would want to live, but the home survived, and that vegetation will in fact grow back. The needles will fall off, the trees will stand unless they're knocked down, but what saved them was certainly they must have had something really good on the siding of their home, their roof. They were clear of any kind of ember traps, didn't have a lot of needles, anything, propane tanks or flammables that are right next to the home. So what we do is really simple. We have been given a grant by the city of Helena, which is called the Fire Safe Helena Grant, and it's what funded the video that you all saw, Helena Community at Risk. And that allows us to come out to anyone's home, anywhere in the city limits, and give you a free grant-funded home ignition zone assessment. And all you have to do is go to our website, sign up. There's a thing there that says property owner home ignition zone. I'm sorry, I can't remember the exact button, but very obvious where it is. Email comes into the executive director email. We assign you a field specialist. They make an appointment with you within 2 weeks and come out and do this for you. It's a little harder in the city. A lot of us have really large trees, and a lot of us have really large conifer trees. It seems most of the time in a fire, it's really not going to be that big tree that gets you. It's going to be the limbs. If it isn't limbed up, it's going to be the limbs that carry the fire up the tree, into the tree, or up and into the home, or it's going to be the junipers that are all around your home, that type of thing, a wooden deck. Those are the kinds of things that really will cause you issues. So we try to help people think about that and do what you can to, a lot of it is very expensive. I've given some information to Ben here about ignition resistant construction and different things like that. And those are very expensive things that you have to do as a homeowner. And the next slide, please. Oh, and that report is sent to you also. That's yours. And it's not going to go to anyone else. The city doesn't want a copy of it, and we keep it just because we keep grant records, but it's yours and it doesn't go to anyone. So I really think what I try to focus on for folks in town is the Firewise Public Demonstration Garden. And if you haven't gone out there, that is the happiest garden that I've seen in a long time right now, and it's worth a visit. It's right at the roundabout, just north of the roundabout at Montana City. If you know where the volunteer fire department is, it sits right there on about a half an acre. It's we have a database on our website that gives a description for each one of these plants, and that picture that's coming around, that's the information that is available for every single plant. So it rates them for Firewise properties, which are generally height, do they have oil or not? Do they have soap or latex, which causes them to kind of fizzle out? Are they good moisture holders? Are they drought resistant? And in our area, are they deer resistant? And if you go out and look, the only things that are protected from the deer out there are those plants that are fenced. The deer and the antelope and the elk have free access to everything else. And some of the plants I have changed them out over the years, but it's a great living example of what you can do to make your home more fire safe. And in town, if we can't do anything else and the trees are too precious to get rid of, at least get them limbed up and deal with that piece of land that's right next to your home is what we encourage everybody to do. So I guess my pitch, I think that might be there might be another.
There are 3 more.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so can we go to the next one, which is the evacuation plan? I think this applies to anything, an earthquake, a fire, a flood. Really, we need to be prepared so that we have everything that we need to leave our home. And that we're not waiting around and putting ourselves or our family at danger because we didn't have a plan. And now all of a sudden we're panicked or whatever is happening. So we've got a great document that's coming around. We've got lots and lots of copies of these. I would make a pitch to you all if our new grants manager or myself or one of our fuel specialists would love to come and talk to any group that you could put together. I mean, we will come to very small groups and come and talk about this and help people think about what they need to think about to protect themselves and their property. So I think that's really kind of it.
I don't know if I'm in the right place. I just moved here. I was just told that there was a city council meeting today, but like for
Sir,
people.
this is a Helena Citizens Council meeting. If that's what you're looking for, you can feel free to join.
Okay. Thank you. Sorry.
Thank you. Continue, sorry.
Okay, well, that's really kind of all I've got, unless there are questions or comments. It's really a plea because we thought when we applied for this grant, we got it in we got it 2 years ago. So we thought we would do 200 home assessments a year. In 2 years, we've done 70. We cannot get people in town interested in doing this. And I am sure because they think that the fire department is going to come save them. And they will certainly try. But if you remember from that video, after about the second home, there's nobody coming. The structure engines are tied up and nobody's coming. They just can't do it. So I don't want to be a scaremonger, but it's really how we see the world. And this year in particular, things are really dangerous. And if you have meetings, I don't know in your districts, if you have meetings or you have any opportunity to give us names of people that we might contact, that anything would be great, because we're just going to really try to pound on doors this year and try to get people. I mean, it's kind of an embarrassment, honestly, to have done 70 in 2 years that we can't get the doors open. So, and any advice anybody has, what we might do? Yes.
This is not exactly advice, but the city of Helena is currently putting together a land use plan.
Yes.
And if you have not been consulted on this yet, the draft will be coming out probably it's out. Okay, so
Thank you for that reminder.
please
Because,
look at that, because this is the time when this is what is going to guide the ordinances and the zoning.
That's
And
a great point.
It would be really, really important for that to be included.
Yes.
So thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Just a reminder, members, please be recognized by the chair.
Oh, sorry.
Myers.
Hi. So when you say groups of people to talk to, do they have to be government groups? Can they
Oh,
just be?
no.
Because I would suggest going to some of the local churches.
You know, that has come up and we will do that. We haven't done it yet, but I think it's a great idea. And so we will. This new person, her name is Amanda Milburn, and I would guess she's going to contact a lot of you just to try to find out who you might individually recommend that we might talk to. And she is really going to try to push this. It's not good.
Vice Chair. I got you.
And,
Did you bring any flyers? Cause I have like a few neighbors that still have really dead junipers.
Oh, do they?
I mean,
Those are so awful. I
could
don't
you
know
just
what,
please remove them?
what people are waiting for. You know what? Can I have Amanda contact you and she could actually come into your neighborhood and we have little hangers
Yes, that would be nice.
to put on the doors. And it's not always safe to do that. People aren't always comfortable with you doing that. But if there was a way to get the word out, I thought about next door or something, you know, taking areas of town and saying, hey, we're gonna be out, we're doing this, we're gonna put this information out for you. So that would be an option.
Yeah, cause there's there's quite a few insurgent, I guess not insurgents. So sorry. A lot of people that have moved from Washington and Oregon, and they're used to the rain and they understand rain and they don't understand high desert and what the high desert, the problems with high desert and things that need to be removed from their property. So
Thank you.
Anyway.
Yes, I will definitely have her contact.
that would be awesome. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you very much.
I have a
Yeah, junipers are awesome.
question from Katie Ryan.
I'm curious about, I have a hedge, a big, huge hedge around my house,
Of what's the plan?
mostly caragana.
Pretty
There's
widely.
some, what do we call it, it's so famous around here, that flowers,
Oh, the lilacs?
lilacs.
Oh,
Some
yes.
lilacs. in
Yeah, caragana actually has oil, unfortunately, so it's not as bad as juniper. And certainly there are other options. I think if you keep it trimmed and it's kind of away from your home, that's what we always say. If you have a wooden fence or you have a wooden deck, get some kind of buffer, this kind of a hedge, get some kind of a buffer where it isn't leading right up to your home.
Okay,
And give your home at least that 5 foot space.
okay.
Yeah.
I do have a neighbor too with the juniper type of trees, which I did mention it to them. But they didn't seem too interested, although they did say, well, maybe we'll, cut the limbs up. So
No, I guess that's better than nothing. I forgot to say also, we do have a group of really good contractors that work for us. And they're not as expensive as you might think, especially to remove something like juniper. It's just difficult to handle. And that's on our website, so those folks could be contacted. The other thing is that we do in this grant have money to do chipping days for local neighborhoods. So if we had a neighborhood, if we could find some neighborhood that had, 10 to 15 people, that they would have to cut their own vegetation and at least get it to the curb or perhaps to a common area, then we can chip it and get it out of the area for you. And depending on how big it is, it's possible we can even get some help for people. So there's so much that we think we can do. We just have to find the people that are willing and able.
Go ahead.
I have 2 questions, all right?
Yeah, go ahead.
So those contractors that come in and do the home assessments, what are their availabilities?
Well, they're quite available. Usually, if we get the email, it'll come to myself or now to Amanda. We'll send you back an email we try to do within 2 days. And then that's up then to the fuel specialist to contact you, and they really have 2 weeks. And if you hadn't heard from someone in 2 weeks, then you need to get back to us and say, hey, where are they? But we also track that on our end. And generally, they're quicker than that if we don't get swamped.
And do they come during weekdays, weekends?
Anytime.
Anytime.
They're very available. Yep,
Okay.
yep. For people that work, they're very flexible, that they understand that they'll come on a weekend, they'll come on an evening.
And then, second question. So it's barbecue season. Where do you
Yes.
suggest people keep their propane tanks when they're not being used?
Well, not near the home, certainly, away from the deck, away from just away. It's just one more thing to blow up and cause a problem.
So not in the house, just
Definitely not. And probably not on the deck. The deck needs to be as clear as it can, really. I mean, my deck isn't clear, so I'm saying that. Because I have chairs and I have, we all have that, but as far as something like that, that's flammable and explosive, you definitely want that away.
Sam Brown.
Thanks. Yeah, I was wondering about the whole Rona area, if you,
And there's actually, I was in attendance at one of the meetings, we're just on the other side there on Colorado Gold, so.
Oh, okay.
But they have an email list going around, I don't know if that might be of interest to you. But I imagine there's probably people on Colorado Gold as well, and that's one way in, one way out, so.
It is, it's a very scary place. Well, and in the 3 counties outside the city of Helena, we have limited grant money for fuel mitigation, but we have never run into a situation where we can't do a free home ignition zone assessment and a fuel treatment plan for people. I assume we'll start getting calls from Rumini, but I believe also that they got home assessments associated with the fire. So they're actually, if it doesn't burn any more up, they may end up with some benefit actually from it.
Nancy Perry.
You said if we could have a group and let you know about the group, how big do you want that group to be?
You know, I've talked to 5 people before. That's really not an issue.
Oh,
So, I mean, bigger is a little better because we get the word out, but what we have discovered last year, we had billboards, we had TV ads, radio ads. We had inserts in the water bill. And what we discovered, because we asked people, how did you hear about us? And in doing that analysis, it was over 70% is neighbors, HOA, friend to friend. And so we've kind of decided the money is far better spent going out to people and talking whatever size group.
Well, I had them come out to my house, last year, and I kept seeing it on television.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it didn't inspire very many people.
I'm concerned, I mean, I no fun.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Ann Houserath.
I'm assuming you've done the farmer's market, the Saturday market, but I think having a presence there.
I think we will
really,
do
really
that.
good.
That's a great point. I'll say it's been a rough ride for about 1.5 years here, but not quite that long. So now with Amanda on, I think that that's the kind of thing we will have someone that we can have dedicated to go down and do that. And that's a great idea because that hadn't occurred to me just as it should have.
One more.
Also, the League of Women Voters, if you haven't done that.
I'm a member there and I keep meaning to get
They
myself
have an
on.
excellent way of notifying a lot of
Yes,
people.
they definitely do, and thank you, yes, they do, and that's, again, one of those to get to. So, if some of this is on us, it just is to try to, because there's, not many of us. And until now, there's only really been one, and then the 2 field specialists, so I'm hoping that with this dedicated person and just our position where we'll get the word out more, but thank you for both of those.
All right, that exhausts my speakers list. Are there any further comments, questions? Seeing none. So much.
Thank you very much. Well, we'll definitely be in touch.
Right, Louis, we do have business to get to. I would like to move new business above officer reports without objection. Yeah. And since we do have a concerned member of the public for item C, I would like to move item C of new business to the front of the agenda. Any objections? Okay, so with that, we will open up with the consideration of flooding abatement project for Broadway Street. We have author Nancy Perry.
Okay, you probably thought we put this project up to bed in January when we met and we were so happy with it. Well, guess what? It's reared its ugly head again. What happened is when I went and spoke to the people in the 1000 block, there was one really nice lady who was really reluctant to have her tree cut down. And her tree is the one right by the drain, and that tree has to go. I mean, there wasn't any, if we were going to fix this drain, that tree was going to go down. And unfortunately, the city men had actually come to do some preliminary work. They came with their cans of spray paint and so on, and they were down in the manhole looking at the pipes and so on and drawing different colored arrows on the street. And of course, she went out to ask them what they were up to. And they told her a little bit, and she said, well, that sounds great. Just make sure you don't cut down my tree. And that word got back to the city, as it would. And the city got kind of nervous. And so they decided that we had to have a public meeting, invite everybody in, particularly the people in the 1000 block, so that they could discuss this further. So I did take the public meeting class, but I didn't pay close enough attention, but luckily, Alex and the city engineer were very helpful. So I had to have an agenda, and the city engineer, I think he put that together. And Alex did you write the message, or he did the right message and you posted it in all the places? Anyway, the message got posted out to the public and the agenda was formed, and my job was to find a place where we could have the meeting. And so the 1000 block is across the street from Jefferson School. And the further instruction from the city was that I had to get this Jefferson School involved. So I called up Jefferson School and asked to speak to the principal, and he was so nice and said, yes, of course, he would come to the meeting. And so then I summoned my nerve and I said, so how about if we have the meeting at your school, since we all live across the street from your school? And he agreed to it. So the meeting was at the school and they had it all set up. It was the day after school was out, so there weren't any kiddies there, and it's a neat system on their door. So I guess it's got a timer on it or something. We could get in, but when we went out, it was at 7:30. We went in at 6:30, and at 7:30, it actually locked behind us, which was kind of a comfort. So we went there. Let's see, the principal unfortunately wasn't able to come, but if you, in the email that Alex sent, I know that she included the plans that the engineer had drawn. Did any of you have time to look at those? It was pages and pages of plans, so Alex didn't Xerox them, and I didn't think to Xerox them. Oh, you've got them up there though. Oh, you are wonderful. Oh, would you page down a little bit? Okay, keep going down. This is the old one that has to come out. Now, see that kind of blunt map, this map right here? Is it possible to expand that, to zoom in on that? This was so interesting at the meeting. He's showing us that his options, he had 5 options. So he'd given this a lot of thought, and how could we solve this problem? And he started with the easiest solution, and he said, you always do this, is one option is you don't do anything at all. So we didn't vote for option 1. The next option was the big one where this is where the current drain is. The little drain that I learned at the meeting was put in place in 1910. So, in 1910, there weren't any paved roads and there was no development there. So it was pretty much set up for the ground to soak up the rain when it fell. And of course, everything is developed and everything is paved over now. And so it doesn't soak up the rain. And so the rain comes running down. Remember Staburn Street I told you about, and Broadway are both directions. Broadway is aimed at that one drain. So all that water is running down and that drain can't handle it. The second option was that he would put a very large drain inlet. He said it was a 96-inch one. And I just was picking Chase's brain because he's an engineer, and he said he thought the 96 inches was the diameter. So that is a really large drain that's going to be put down with a fancy schmancy manhole on it, which is a combo manhole. So I also learned this tonight, it's got the slats where the water will go in, but it also has a hole cut into the curb, which the current one does also, but it's quite a bit smaller. And in addition to that, then they were going to put a second one a little bit further away, and that would be a smaller one, I think a 48-inch. So it's a 48-inch diameter. This one, of course, is the lowest point, and so the most water is going to be going there. But this will get some of that backup water, and the water coming down Broadway also, this would be able to grab that water before it went down to add to the pile. Okay. If you look on this in your notes, I found this map so interesting. You have to go up to the top and it gives you the legend or the key, but they actually have a map that shows you exactly what's underneath the street. And I found that really interesting. So this one, what was the 18 SD? I wrote these things down. I knew I would remember. Okay, this is the existing storm drain, the pipe under the ground. And the 10W, this is our water pipe. So it's a 10-inch water pipe. And then here is an 8-inch sanitary sewer. This is a sewage pipe. Okay, so here's our water pipe, here's the sewage pipe, here's the storm drain pipe, here's the gas pipe, all that stuff is lying underneath the street. And then there's a 16-inch water pipe. And Chase, would that be the city county connector? It's bigger than the water pipe that's feeding the individual houses.
60.
It's quite a bit bigger.
Be a large one, I don't know.
So I thought that must be the city county connector, because I know it does run down.
Well, and I think that's why they mentioned, Hannah speaking, I think from the meeting, that's why they mentioned not wanting to mess with that other side and the drain holes that are there. Because they said that is the main city connector.
So that must be it.
If there was any issues with that, everybody would do.
Yeah, that one is connecting the two, I think they said water treatment plants. Okay. So this is really interesting. You might like looking at this just to see what's there. For instance, here's the water one that's feeding everybody. This is water that's been fluoridated and chlorinated, so it's nice and clean. And it runs over for these, there's a fire hydrant right there. So in case you didn't know it, where the fire hydrants are, their teeth are being carefully protected by the fluoride that's in that water. Okay, so, and every house has one of those. Here is the tree. You don't see it because they didn't draw another tree here, but here was the tree that we were worrying about cutting down. The second storm drain, the 48-incher, was going to be here, and possibly this tree would have to be cut down, and this tree also would have to be cut down. Well, we listened to the 5 options, and we voted for, of course, the most expensive one, the 96 one over here with the 48-inch one there, and the fancy schmancy manhole on this thing. Okay, so that's what we asked for. I then had to write another recommendation, and I wasn't really sure how you write a second recommendation when you already wrote a first one. But I wrote a second recommendation saying, okay, look at the first recommendation. This is what I'm talking about. Now we've had the meeting, we voted. This is what we voted that we would like to have you do. Okay?
Right, thanks, Nancy.
I think it's also important to note, Darlene was there as well, and she's my neighbor directly to the west, and that is the other tree that's concerned. 2 of the trees that's on our property, and then the 3rd tree that is over where they're proposing putting in the bigger manhole. And
Right.
she was there, I know, and so she heard all of these different things,
Right.
and while she had voiced concerns with the tree, she did at the end of the meeting sort of say that she did think that this sounded like the best option.
Yeah, I think she's on it. By the way, I'm displaying my appalling manners. This is Hannah Stanton. Hannah was, can we go back to the picture?
Sure, sorry, I was
Thank you.
on the recommendation now.
Right. You're too smart for me.
Well, everybody
Oh, come on.
tuning in at home is getting.
Where's our picture? Anyway, this one is Hannah's. Keep going. Even more. Scrolls more down. Yeah, way down, right there. Okay, so this will be Hannah's. This one is going to be in front of Hannah's. And I was blithely talking about when that water would come down. I mean, it sounded good to me. And then she had this 5-inch river of water running into it and tearing up your retaining wall. You remember my telling you that? It sounded like the Missouri River flowing in and then kind of going over the retaining wall. Hannah is going to show us a little video that she took when her husband's out there battling the waves that will make you see. And I hope the commission, I really would love to show that video to the commission. I don't know if you think that will
I
happen,
think it would
but
be good.
I would love to show it to them because it would be awfully hard to say, no, this isn't a big problem. You don't need that big expensive drain. When they see what this water just tearing through Hannah's backyard, it's really appalling.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Nancy. So at this point, we'll open it up for discussion. We'll have public comment later when you want to show that video. So essentially, the city manager wanted direction. This is a little bit unorthodox, but because we didn't have a specific project lined out in the last recommendation, they wanted us to vote on a specific project, and this was the project that the neighborhood agreed upon. So we just need a simple vote on this, get this through, and then the project will be out for bid. So is there any discussion?
I feel like there was some state jurisdiction on Broadway? Does anybody know on that?
There is a state jurisdiction on Broadway. These projects are within the realm of the city though, so there won't be any hiccups in that realm.
Okay.
They didn't mention that as being a problem.
For people's concerns about the trees, could that hold it up or?
The trees were discussed, any risk to the trees, per project was discussed and the neighbors were okay with risking that, so. Further questions? And House Rep?
There's been concern by Greg Worth about using this opportunity also to do bulb outs on Broadway. Did he come to that meeting or did that get discussed at the meeting?
He didn't come to that meeting and that's not part of this recommendation.
Okay, then I'd move approval of the recommendation.
We'll go into an automatic vote once discussion is
Okay.
over. Any further discussion? All right, at this time, I'll open up the floor for public comment. Is there any public comment?
Yeah, I did provide a video if you'd like to show it.
Hang tight, everyone.
Make sure that.
I think it was the one that was right around the 4th of July. It was the 3rd of July.
Remember, there was one storm where in our part of town anyway, we got a tremendous amount of hail in addition to an awful lot of water. And he's just shoveling it up.
All right, is there any further public comment?
Just a question, so we're voting on supporting this project or something else?
Yes, we will be voting on recommending the project of a new 96-inch inlet with the ADA compliant double grate on the manhole cover, replacing the existing inlet. Fronting 1038 will be a new 48-inch inlet. That's what we're recommending.
Our original recommendation said we recommend doing what the city engineer said, because at that point we didn't know anything else, other than he said a drain or two would be a big help.
So one more follow-up question. When they started, I was there when you first came to one of the city commission meetings to talk to them, but they had an existing project on Broadway. Is this part of that?
This is,
Existing storm drain?
yeah, they heard about it in February. And nothing had, I showed up before them in February, after we voted on it here in January. As far as I know, that's what they've got.
So this is kind of piggybacking on.
This is actually an amendment to what I showed them in February. Now I think, did they get a copy of the new recommendation or recommendation part 2?
You need to vote on that first, and then I'll send that over.
Huh.
So
Yeah.
we're voting on the highlighted part that will be forwarded to the people that need it. Okay, is there any further discussion? All right, without any further discussion, we'll move into an automatic vote. We'll do a roll call vote. Deputy Clerk.
John Andrew.
Yeah.
Lori Fitzgerald.
Yes.
Joseph Lehman.
Yes.
Nancy Perry.
Yes.
Ann Houserath.
Yes.
Sonda Cobb.
Yes.
Jeff Brown.
Yes.
Paige Myers.
Yes.
Chase Eaton.
Yes.
Ben Kuiper.
Aye.
Kate Ryan.
Yes.
Denise Ralph Barber.
Yes.
Dan Brown.
Yes.
All voting aye. Motion carries.
All right. Motion passes. Thank you. You're welcome to stay if you'd like. Our next item for consideration will be Consideration of Anchor Park Tunnel recommendation. We have author Lori Fitzgerald. Go ahead with your authorship.
Okay, hoping you guys have all had a chance to take a look at this. This was something that came up during our budget discussions and kind of wanted to put that into the budget document, but most thought maybe it needed to be its own recommendation. So worked on that. And since that time, I've discussed with a lot of my neighbors and people that are visiting in the downtown area, get a little more information. But basically, if you guys aren't familiar, you know where the fire tower is, and there's the blue stone building. It's a historic building up atop. Right below there is a pedestrian tunnel that leads from the South Hills neighborhoods to Anchor Park and the library and the downtown area. Currently, and for a while, it's been kind of an unsafe place to walk. Many people are not comfortable walking there. There's folks that loiter in there. They have camped there. There's couches in there. There's clothing. There's all kinds of things, and it's getting to be kind of in a squalor-y sort of way. And it's really close to downtown. Right next door, there's a daycare, and it's, you know, in my neighborhood, there's a few daycares that used to walk down there to get to the library. They don't go that way anymore. And if you've looked in some of the attachments, I have one picture that's probably not that good to see. But there was a nice comment from a gal on Nextdoor who talked about her concern with that tunnel. And then after we didn't put it into the budget recommendation, my husband had put, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the City of Helena app. You can put in, you know, if you have a pothole you want filled or trees that are too long or whatever. So he put in the tunnel recommendation. There's been some good comments, supportive from other people who kind of feel the same. So would like to make a recommendation to the commission to do something about the tunnel, either expand it so there's not places for people to gather, loiter, stay there. We can still do the graffiti, which is because it's the Helena Arts Commission had recommended doing something because that's an understood place where graffiti can be done. And if they aren't able to do it there, they will probably do it somewhere else that's not as appropriate. Maybe make it a better walking and biking path through there and expand it slightly. So those are my recommendations.
All right, I'll open the floor for discussion. Please be recognized by the chair. Is there any discussion? Thank you, Barry.
I think a problem is where in the world are those folks gonna go?
Right. And I don't know. I know that they can't live there. They can't, I mean, it's in city limits. There are, you know, there's God's love, there's places. I'm not sure this group can, you know, dictate that. I think we need to have at least the problem be recognized, and then maybe we can work through that part.
Yeah, it's kind of hard, isn't it? Because it's almost, they have to go together. If you're gonna clean up the area where they camp out, they're not camping there because it's beautiful. They're camping there because it's a place where they can set up and people don't seem to bother them. I never felt unsafe there. I walk through there frequently, but I mean, nobody's ever spoken to me. So I never felt like I was threatened in any way, but.
And House Rep.
Lori, I'm sorry, I've been traveling, so I haven't read your recommendation. My apologies. I agree with Nancy. I totally agree that there is a problem here. That I haven't felt unsafe because I got to know one guy with his dog. But I understand my own family feels unsafe there. But I agree that perhaps in the recommendation, and I guess if we're going to vote today, I'll have to abstain because I didn't do my homework, that we ask the commission to look at these together, because if we're going to make it impossible for people to camp there, people with dogs, I don't think have any place to go now. And I don't think that's the proper place. And I don't feel comfortable. I think it's important to put the two together and ask the commission to do that. And we could help. I'd be glad to help try to figure this out. It's not simple. If it were simple, it'd be done.
Not simple.
If it were simple, it would be done. Because we can try to kick them out, but they'll just go somewhere else that maybe just make people feel just as unsafe.
And unsafe for them.
Right.
Further discussion, John Andrew?
Just out of curiosity, Lori, the underpass going towards Memorial Park under the interstate, are they experiencing the same situation there? Or do you know?
I guess I can't say.
I mean, it's a natural for people to,
Like
get
the
out
one
of the
that's down
weather.
by the Great Northern, that one under there,
Well,
or
Centennial.
Yeah. going from Centennial across.
Paige?
So there's two different tunnels around that area.
Mhm.
And as far as I know, there hasn't been any comments about that during public art meetings. I think that's just because it's such a busy area with traffic versus at Anchor Park, it's foot traffic.
Mhm.
So if I needed to sleep out in public, I would want to sleep in a more quiet place and feel more safe. So I think it's this tunnel that's being used.
Yeah, but the other tunnel is pedestrian bike to
Yeah, the one by like the
Centennial
carousel
Park
and
going.
Carol. That one, like I think it has a lot more foot traffic with like Carol students using it especially.
Right.
So
I just
and
wondered
it's
if it was a
it's
trend
wider,
for
I think, as well.
homeless populations to migrate to, getting out of the weather, rain or snow.
Chase Eaton?
In my experience, I haven't noticed very many. I've seen occasional people taking shelter under there,
Hmm.
but not very often. And I wonder, is the Anchor Park tunnel lit at night?
Good question.
So I wonder if that's part of why the Centennial one isn't used as much. Maybe.
It's also, sorry,
Paige, go ahead.
it's also really close to the library and they have public restrooms and a water fountain. So it makes sense for them to be near a place with water and restrooms.
And the library makes them welcome.
Members, I
Try
need
to
you to
change
go
it.
through the chair, please.
I'm sorry.
Is there further discussion? Go ahead,
There,
Sam Brown.
if I remember right, there are lights in there. And what is it on the sides? It's kind of like a raised pit with like kind of rocks that are cemented in there. Do those rocks deter people from kind of camping out in there, I wonder? Or I've seen in other places they kind of build like these structures that make it so they're uncomfortable to sleep in or difficult to, kind of camp out. I don't know if that would be anything that would be useful in this circumstance or not, but
Further discussion?
A
Go ahead.
question.
Katie Ryan?
So, you said that they have furniture in there and does it make it not passable or difficult to pass through?
No, because that's up on the sides, but the people can make it difficult to pass through and. Yes, so.
Just wondering if it was kind of blocking.
Sam Brown?
I like the idea of widening the path on the east side. I think that's a great idea, and maybe that would provide more traffic, especially for bikes. Because I think on that other side there's just like a small fence that you go through, and it's a pretty standard sized sidewalk. So I think that would be great for people, coming from that other neighborhood there, if they could bike through there. And that if I remember right, that portion is just wide enough for maybe two people shoulder to shoulder. So if you're going through there on a bike, somebody would have to kind of stand to the side so that you could go through, or vice versa. So I think that would be a nice addition there. I don't know if it help with the couches.
Is there further discussion? Do we have anyone online?
I see no hands raised online.
I have a question for the author. It mentions a recommendation from the Public Arts Committee. Can you speak to whether that was sent to the commission, if they had any response?
I brought it up during last week's meeting and they said it's more of a parks and recs issue. They were just they were brought the idea of putting a mural behind the chain link fence, but that sounds like it's not the way forward anymore, so it's out of their hands. As far as I'm aware.
Okay. Sonda,
So with the hostile architectural, I don't agree with the chain link fence. I think that's out of the table from what I understand. I think maybe with our recommendation, I think the biggest problem is they're leaving home items within a public space. And I think that definitely needs to be removed. And I think maybe we can address those specific items because that brings in vermin and other things that are uncontrollable within a public space. So I think it's a park and recreation to ask them to remove the home items that it's not a home. It is a public passway. You may sleep there, but you need to and get out of the weather, but you're not allowed to put in a bed or a couch or any of those, a table, it's not a house. So that's my comment.
is there a further discussion? Sam Brown?
The other tunnel has like a sign that says like no camping. I'm just kind of wondering, this one, they're kind of saying it's okay if people sleep in there then, or there's not opposition to it really. I mean, if just kind of throwing that out there. I mean, the other one has like a no tent sign or something.
I don't know the answer to that. If anyone does, feel free to chime in. Okay. Jeff Brown?
I am also in favor of the widening, like removing the cement covered rock that's lining the pathway. I think that one of the reasons why the pathway between Great Northern and the college is so nice is because it is extremely well lit and it's also taller. And I think that having that openness provides more of a breeze, essentially makes it feel slightly more exposed. And when things are illicit, I think that they don't happen in highly exposed areas. And the only time when you're going to have people who are continually attempting to stay somewhere is hopefully during like inclement weather. But again, I think that the hostile architecture of putting up a fence and or large rocks or something so that they physically would just be uncomfortable will be a detriment rather than a help.
Further discussion? Go ahead. Lori Fitzgerald.
So, and I understand you guys' concerns about where they're going to go, and this is just kind of assume that they can be there, but maybe, I mean, if we get this to the commission, it would be, address the bigger issue of let's address this homeless situation, the unhoused, the people who need to get out of the weather, and maybe we can do a bigger, improvement somehow. I know what you came from Boise, right? They've done a lot to deal with that, and they've been able to build places or whatever that they are. So it's not right downtown where it really shouldn't be. Or within a place where people walk and feel concerned, right next to the downtown library. So it's an awareness sort of thing. It might not have all the answers, but it brings an awareness.
Sam Brown?
I kind of thought of that, there's maybe more activity there, around this discussion because of the closing of the R place, where it kind of gave people a place to go. I don't know if anybody remembers that. It was kind of over by the Domino's there. But I thought it would be worth mentioning just for the sake of the discussion.
Is there any further discussion? Paige Spires?
I'm sorry, can you zoom in a little bit on the recommendation as it is? And this is your current recommendation, Lori?
Yes.
Okay.
There a specific section you're looking for?
I just wanted to be able to I'll read the recommendation.
I had another comment from John Andrew.
I was just gonna say, ask Lori, obviously lighting would be a deterrent for people and you don't know whether it's lit or not, or did you mention that as part of your proposal?
It was not part. I guess.
I would, you know, that would be.
And there may be lights in there.
Yeah, I don't know for sure. I don't go there at night and.
Yeah.
And it's kind of out of the way for the police to do a walkthrough. That's probably one of the deterrents also.
Paige Myers.
If we wanted to, if there already is lighting, could we throw in a sentence that says increase the lighting? Just to cover all of our bases?
Motion to amend could be made.
Okay.
There's also an option to table if there was to be more amendments outside of the meeting, but whatever the body would like to do. Something up.
I would like to create a. I think a sign needs to be put up there. Just like at Centennial Park, no camping. Per se, you can sleep there, but you can't. And you know, make it very specific. So there is a sign just like over by Centennial Park.
Further discussion? Paige Myers.
No, sorry, Larry. So would you mind me making a motion to add that sentence?
Like
Would that be all right?
improved lighting or
Improve the lighting?
Go ahead. Paige.
So I would like to make a motion to add a sentence, some verbiage saying increase the lighting in the Anchor Tunnel.
Jeff Brown's.
Okay. Is there a second to the motion?
Before we go, we also include signage in there too.
That says no camping specifically.
Yes.
I need a second to the motion or it dies.
Oh,
Again.
Okay, there is a motion on the floor to amend to include can you state the exact sentence you would like tacked on there?
Sorry. And one lane for bikers.
How about the sides could have large rocks or things that discourage camping, improve lighting and
Improve
signage.
lighting and signage that discourages camping.
In 1 second, then the rest can stay.
I'm not following. Did you catch that?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Can you read out the amendment if you have it?
Yeah, so I have adding language to improve lighting signage.
Okay. There is a motion on the floor to amend to include lighting and signage in the recommendation. It's been seconded. Is there any discussion on the amendment? And elsewhere.
Well, I'm going to be voting against the amendment and against the motion. I recognize that there's a problem, and I think addressing this without asking the commission seriously to address the other makes me very uncomfortable.
Is there further discussion on the amendment?
Don't follow up, Brian. Are you talking about the homeless situation?
Yes.
And which is a broad-based situation. I mean, it's part of the problem. but
It is a problem.
We're just trying to deal with an isolated situation, I guess.
Exactly, and these are real people who have names, and I'm just not.
True,
Not-
it's just not the place where they should be, you know, and we're just trying to take care of that one place of travel or camping.
I think I've expressed myself enough. I'm
Jeff Brown, are you wanting to speak on the amendment or the recommendation as a whole?
On the recommendation as a whole.
Okay. Is there any further discussion on the amendment? Seeing none, we'll move into a roll call vote.
We are voting to amend the original motion. John Andrew,
Yes.
Lori Fitzgerald,
Yes.
Joseph Lehman. Nancy Perry,
No.
Ann Houserath. Sonda Cobb,
Yes.
Jeff Brown,
Yes.
Paige Myers,
Yes.
Jace Eaton,
Yes.
Ben Kuiper,
No.
Katie Ryan,
Yes.
Denise Rath Barber,
Yes.
Sam Brown,
Yes.
motion to amend carries 10-3.
Okay, is the document editable?
No.
Okay, there has been an amendment to include lighting and what was the other term? And signage in the recommendation. It's been amended and passed. Is there further discussion on the main recommendation as amended? I have.
Yes.
Jeff Brown.
Yes. I think that communication and familiarity with the people who are taking advantage of the tunnel is one of the things that is going to, one, encourage them to change any behavior that actually is dangerous or harmful. I think that the majority of the time there is the perception of danger, there's the perception of uneasiness, and that is very real. It's something that obviously is causing people to change their behaviors, not go through the tunnel, not use it at night or whatever else. However, I think that if there is something that can be done to communicate somewhat often with the people who are living there or working there or doing whatever they're doing, it may be much more beneficial than just coming at it from a non-communicative and somewhat hostile act. So rather than just pushing people around, I think that if we were to be able to talk with them and encourage their abstinence from drug use and alcohol use and sleeping there during the day and spreading materials and possessions out in the way, then I imagine that there are many who would be very willing to do that, especially if they know that these kind of things will end up leading to a hostile place or an absence of somewhere they can retreat during bad weather. I don't know if there's anything that our council necessarily can do to encourage that or to start that. But for those of us who are, myself, I don't feel unsafe there, and I would be willing to, be somebody who goes up and volunteers to just talk to people and find out the needs, the wants, the life of these people who will hopefully make a different choice or a more public friendly choice on their behaviors or their locations during the day or during the night. But if somebody has an idea about what can be done to just increase communication, the sign is it's a good idea. It's the non-communicative way to communicate, but I think that we need to know the people.
All right, Paige Myers.
I personally like the idea of expanding the tunnel just to make it more pedestrian friendly. I don't like the idea of hostile architecture like the large rocks or the fence, specifically the fence, because if it's a chain link fence, they can get wire cutters and embed themselves even more. So if we could strike the part of the proposal, the sides could have large rocks or a fence that discourage camping, and just go, the pathway through the tunnel could be expanded. I love that idea. I don't like the large rocks or the fence.
Any further discussion? Or if
And I just took that from the Arts Council, what they had recommended, so I didn't know that that was off the table or
And
not a thing.
sorry.
Myers?
Yeah, it seems to be a hot potato of going back and forth of being like, oh, is it the Parks Department? And they mentioned it could be the Department of Transportation even being in on this, and it was a hot potato issue. So
Is there any further discussion? Page Myers?
So I would like to make a motion to strike the sides could have large rocks or a fence that discourage camping. Comma, or.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
All right,
May I explain my second?
1 second. Moved by Myers, seconded by Hausrath. The amendment or the motion is to amend to strike the sides could have large rocks or a fence that discourages camping, comma, or. Discussion and Hausrath?
I'm going to vote for this amendment, because I think that the recommendation is going to pass, and I don't like the idea of the hostile architecture. I think that Dan Brown expressed that quite well.
Is there further discussion on the amendment? Seeing none, we'll move into an automatic roll call vote. Once again, the amendment is to strike the phrase, the sides could have large rocks or a fence that discourage camping, comma, or. Deputy Clerk?
John Andrew,
Yes.
Lori Fitzgerald,
Can I clarify? So is the signage and the lighting still
sorry.
there or not? Cause I don't know where that is in this.
Yes, that
Yes.
passed. Yes.
Yes.
Joseph Lehman, Nancy Perry,
No,
Ann Houserath,
Yes.
Sonda Gott,
Yes.
Jeff Brown,
Yes.
Paige Myers,
Yes.
Chase Eaton,
Yes.
Ben Kuiper,
Yes.
Katie Ryan,
Yes.
Denise Roth Barber,
No,
Sam Brown.
Yes.
Okay, motion to amend carries 11-2.
Is there further discussion on the recommendation as amended? Page Myers?
Sorry, could you scroll down a bit more so we can? Ben, it's good.
Go ahead.
And I would like to strike the HCC supports the Helena Public Arts Committee suggestion. I'm not sure where exactly it should end.
Further discussion? Lori Fitzgerald?
Want to encourage graffiti in there?
Yes.
So. How would you want to put that? I think that's not what they want.
I have Denise Roth Barber.
yeah, so it's my understanding that we are not voting on the whole document in front of us, that this was a document Lori put together where the motion, which has been amended a few times, but it's the proposal at the top is what we're voting on. And that this letter is not going to be an official HCC document, it's Lori's presentation to HCC. So I don't believe we need to wordsmith this document. It's Lori's presentation to HCC. It's not something we're giving to the city. And then my second point would be, since the motion has changed a fair amount from the original version, then before we vote on the amended version, is it possible to have someone type up and have it viewable to all what the new motion is that we're gonna be voting on?
Yes. To your second question, yes, that's possible. To the first point, this entire thing would be sent to the commission. Is there further discussion?
Yeah, I do.
On the go.
So do you still want, to make motions? So the whole proposal is concise. I think Paige is correct that when HHC supports the Helena Public Arts Committee suggestion to fence off the sides, the tunnel that leads to the Anchor Park, I think that's what you want to remove, correct?
Paige Myers.
Yeah, so the entire second paragraph, I think we can remove except for the sentence, unhoused individuals using the tunnel as shelter creates us safety issues for pedestrians using the tunnel from the south central neighborhoods. And then keep that and then just remove everything else. And then we can discuss on that further, but that would just remove the Helena Public Art Committee portion of it.
Is there a further discussion? Paige Myers.
So I would like to make a motion to remove the second paragraph. Strike the second paragraph except for the sentence, unhoused individuals using the tunnel as either, as shelter creates a safety issue for pedestrians using the tunnel from the south central neighborhoods.
For clarification, is your motion related to the background section?
The present situation, sorry.
Situation.
Can you repeat that, please?
Yeah, so I move to strike the paragraph under present situation that starts with HCC supports the Helena Public Arts Committee, but keep the sentence inside the paragraph that says unhoused individuals using the tunnel as shelter creates a safety issue for pedestrians using the tunnel from the south central neighborhoods.
I would second that.
All right, there is a motion on the floor to amend the recommendation under present situation to strike the entire second paragraph, except for unhoused individuals using the tunnel as a shelter creates a safety issue for pedestrians using the tunnel from the south central neighborhoods. Is that clear to everyone? Is there any discussion?
I have a question.
Jeff Brown?
Would it be possible to add potential between A and safety?
You can move to amend the amendment.
I move to amend the proposed amendment to include the word potential between the words A and safety.
Okay, the amendment was declared friendly. The amendment to the amendment, excuse me, was declared friendly. Can you please repeat that?
I move to include the word potential between the word A and safety.
All right, the motion reads to strike the second paragraph under present situation, except for the sentence unhoused individuals using the tunnel as shelter creates a safety issue, a potential safety issue for pedestrians using the tunnel from the south central neighborhoods. Is there further discussion on the amendment? Seeing none, we'll move into a roll call vote. Deputy Clerk?
Joan Andrew,
Yeah.
Lori Fitzgerald,
Yes.
Joseph Lehman, Nancy Perry,
No.
Ann Houserath,
Yes.
Sonda Gobb,
Yes.
Jeff Brown,
Yes.
Paige Myers,
Yes.
Chase Eaton,
Yes.
Ben Kuiper,
Yes.
Katie Ryan,
Yes.
Denise Roth Barber, Denise,
Had to unmute, sorry. Yes.
thank you. Sam Brown,
Yes.
motion to amend, carries 12-1.
Right, amendment passes. We're back on the main speakers list for the recommendation as amended. Paige Myers.
I'm sorry, could you scroll further down so we can see the next sections? Attachments, and then I guess scroll down to the attachments. Thank you.
Tiny.
Oh, sorry. Yes, scroll please. Thank you. Scroll a little bit more, please. I think that's in the attachments.
Yes.
All right, is there further discussion? Seeing none, I will call for a public comment. Is there any public comment on this recommendation as amended? Okay, with that, we'll move into a roll call vote. Deputy Clerk?
John Andrew.
Yeah.
Lori Fitzgerald,
Yes.
Mrs. Lehman,
Sorry, having trouble with mute. Yes.
Nancy Perry,
No,
Ann Houserath,
No.
Sonda Gog,
Yes.
Jeff Brown,
Yes.
Paige Myers,
Yes.
Chase Eaton,
Yes.
Ben Kuiper,
No.
Katie Ryan,
Yes.
Denise Roth Barber,
Yes.
Sam Brown.
Yes.
Original motion with amendments carries 10-3.
Recommendation as amended is carried. Next, we'll move into item B under new business, consideration of creation of an ad hoc transportation working group. This is proposed by Ann Houserath. You can have your authorship.
Thank you. I hope this will be quick. As you all know, the city has a draft out, I understand right now, on the land use plan. And there's chapter 7 on transportation. I am proposing that we form a temporary working group to look carefully at chapter 7 on transportation to see whether the comments that we have gotten at the 2 open houses on transportation, whether those concerns are met in chapter 7 of the land use plan. So this would be a quick thing. We could divvy up pages, anyway, we've got those recommendations. They were very clear and they were very strong. And I would like to be reassured that the draft of the land use plan includes as many of those as possible. And so I'm proposing that those of us who would like to work on this get together, abide by all the rules of noticing and all the everything that's required legally to do this. And the sunset date would be the date of adoption, by the city commission. So this would be something that would go on only until the city commission actually adopts the draft. But I feel that this is a great way to look at what the outreach comments that we have and see whether they, how well they're embedded in this land use plan. So that's my proposal.
Okay, is there a discussion on this proposal? Sonda Gog.
Is your goal to actually create recommendations for this land use plan, or you just?
Yes, well, yes, if we
find a
if we
conflict.
find that there is strong concern recommendations from what we found from the open house, and that is not addressed in the land use plan, then yes. And I assume the way this would work is that this working group would bring those recommendations to HCC, and HCC would then vote yay or nay on them.
Just for clarification, thanks.
Is there further discussion? I have a question. How many members?
As many as want,
Can we define that, please?
up to 28, and a minimum number of 2, because it's not a committee if it's just me, and a maximum number of 28.
Okay, would you be able to gather your committee and then write a purpose statement, bylaws, so that we know what quorum is for that committee? And we can proceed with our operating procedures.
Well, I think a quorum would be whatever quorum is defined as. I don't want to write bylaws on this. I just want to get these things included. So no, I think that seems pretty onerous for an ad hoc working group. Can you make it a little easier on me?
Yes, how about we form this and then or the body considers forming this, and once it's formed, we can move forward with rules.
Well, we've got, it's summer, right? And nobody wants to work very much in summer because they would rather be doing outdoor stuff. And we only have till September to work on this. So just the easiest we can get it is list who's going to do it, and
Ben,
right?
hey Ben,
Who's this?
it's me. I'm raising my hand. I believe that as long as the working group does not have a quorum of the entire HCC, and that there's like no more than half of the members of a given district in that committee, then we should be fine. We don't need to establish a committee and establish protocols and bylaws, etc. But we do have to meet the quorum thing. And as long as, and I don't think we're gonna run into the problem of having more than half of the members join this thing. So I think we're safe, if you will, if a group of HCC members want to meet ahead of time or meet outside of the HCC meeting and then discuss this and come up with a plan.
An official committee would have a quorum and participating members, that can be set later. We don't necessarily have to have bylaws, but I would like a number of quorum. Is there further discussion? Page
I
Meyer.
have 2 things. So could we just, I don't know if this would be appropriate, but just like raise of hands to see who would be interested in it, so we get a general idea? Would that be appropriate?
That'd be a start.
So
Anybody online?
There,
Based on.
So we have
so 5.
5.
we have, keep your hands up, please.
Oh, sorry.
We have Chase Eaton, Paige Myers, Ann Houserath, Sam Brown, and Jeff Brown. Okay. If we're comfortable moving forward with those members, we can make that motion. Paige Myers.
A second thing is, would it be possible to create a special project committee for recommendations that are a bit larger and need a bit more than one person working on them, like for recommendations regarding unhoused individuals, getting a bunch of people together to talk about it, because it does take a lot of time for a meeting. And I know a while back we had discussions about short-term rentals. So big issues like that, I think it would be helpful to have a standing committee of special projects. We could obviously not name it that, but
I think that's a great idea. We do have to notice that.
Mm.
So we can consider that at a later meeting.
Mhm.
We can't consider that tonight.
yes.
Further discussion?
Do we have a formal motion?
I would like one.
Okay. I move that we create a ad hoc transportation working group of 5 to continue forth on looking to whether or not we need to make any recommendations to the land use plan.
Second.
Immediately.
It is moved by Sondergaard, seconded by Ann Houserath. Is there any discussion before we vote? Seeing none, we'll move into a roll call vote. Deputy Clerk?
Would you like to take public comment?
Thank you. Is there any public comment on this item? Okay, seeing none.
John Andrew,
Yes.
Lori Fitzgerald,
Yes.
Joseph Lehman,
Yes.
Nancy Perry,
Yes.
Ann Houserath,
Yes.
Sonda Gobb,
Yes.
Jeff Brown,
Yes.
Paige Myers,
Yes.
Chase Eaton,
Yes.
Ben Kuiper.
Aye.
Katie Ryan,
Yes.
Denise Roth Barber,
Yes.
Sam Brown.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimous.
Thank you. And if you're one of those 5, meet up with Ann and you'll get everything sorted.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So now we will move back into officer reports. I'll start as the chair. So I just want to bring up, the commission has some protocols they would like us to start following. If you do want to reach out to the commission as a whole, please utilize the public comment function in the city website. If you go to the city commission webpage, there is a fairly prominent button for a public comment submission. And basically what happens when you do that, when you fill out those items, it goes to all the appropriate places for them to publicly post that. When I understand that certain citizens could potentially email all of the commissioners at once, but it's best practice that as official HCC representatives that we utilize that function. So going forward, please do that, just so that the city can keep track of everything that we're proposing to the commission. And House Rep.
So I don't quite understand, if we are speaking on the part of ourselves rather than representing District 2 or the HCC, are you still saying that I as an individual need to use that as opposed to just emailing them?
Yes, please do that. I can't force you to do anything as a private citizen. I'm just saying their protocol is their protocol and they've been respecting ours. So please respect ours. Is there further discussion? Katie Ryan.
Just to follow up, so if I do that as a private citizen, do I need to just tell them I'm on the HCC?
Yes, so best practice when you are speaking for yourself, to identify yourself as only representing yourself as an individual. You are not speaking for the HCC. In fact, nobody can speak for the HCC unless we pass a recommendation that says the HCC supports this. So best practice, unless you are specifically addressing the commission during an HCC agenda item, you are representing yourself. Further questions or comments? Have any on mine?
I have no hand raised.
Okay, so that dark blue button there, that would be the way to submit public comment. If you'd like to just submit one through our coordinator, you can do that as well. But we just want to make sure that everything's kept track. Make sense?
No, sorry, it doesn't make sense to me. So raising my hand. So Ben, are you telling or letting us know that as individual citizens, the city has requested that we submit our comments to the commission via the submit general public comment button, correct?
No, I'm asking you that. As HCC representatives, please use the general public comment. As a general citizen, I can't ask you to do anything.
But why? Okay, that's where I'm confused. Why would an HCC member be submitting a public comment via that button as a member of HCC? Meaning, so like you said, Ben, like I cannot reach out to the city and submit a comment on behalf of HCC, no matter how I do it. I can't do it any which way. But if I, as an individual, want to submit a comment, you're saying you're just requesting that we as private citizens do that? I'm just trying to get clarification of what this request is.
Okay, thank you. I apologize. That was confusing. Yes, you're right. You can't make any asks of the commission as HCC unless we pass a recommendation. What I'm asking, if you are reaching out to them as a private citizen, please use the public comment function. I can't make you. I'm just saying that would be by the commission.
Okay.
And
Gotcha.
And did this request come from the commission?
yes, they view those as electronic meetings when they're all CC'd on the same email, and that's why they don't respond to them.
Well, I don't respond to them anyway, but
But
Yes,
if we are reaching out to an individual commissioner, we could do that just via their email. Is
Yeah.
that correct? Okay.
Yeah.
So it's only when we reach out to a majority of them.
yes.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry for that confusion. Is there any further comments on that? Okay. Moving on, we're hoping to get the redistricting conversation started this summer. We will likely form some sort of committee that will be open to the public because this is going to be a public matter, but we need to get all of the requirements in a row first, which means talking to the elections office and making sure we check all the boxes. So that'll be coming down the pipe hopefully in the next few weeks or the next few months. Anything else for me? Okay, we'll move into vice chair.
I just have a few things to report. I've been in contact with Mackenzie Mann, and she's the one that brought it before to Ryan Sucre. I don't know how to say his last name. Anyway, about having a better pedestrian walk across Broadway on Beatty Street because it's a blind corner. It sometimes is difficult for vehicles to see you in time to stop. So so we're working on looking at a recommendation within the next 2 months, that's all I have.
Questions for vice chair? Okay, our secretary is excused tonight.
You have a hand raised by Denise.
Denise Rothbarber.
Dang,
Denise, you're
unmute button, I know. Sonda, can you tell me where that pedestrian crossing is that you're talking about? Beatty
It's
and what?
Beatty and Broadway.
Okay, is there did you say a bridge?
No, it would,
There is no,
no crosswalk.
there's no crosswalk, there's no recognition that that is a pedestrian crossing. And it is a blind corner, so, you know, there's that kind of issue, and there's a lot more.
Okay. Okay. I just needed clarification. Thank you.
Okay, treasurer's report.
So I met with Alex today, and there's a new financial system for the whole city, and so we're within that. And so I don't have like a really clear financial report to give, but we did have a balance of around $1,000 last time, and then we have purchased. Well, we have the purchase order created for the yard signs for all of the members. Which will probably take up most of that money, and we'll have about $10 left when we're done.
Okay, questions for treasurer? Seeing none, we will close officer reports. We are very down to the wire, so commission and attendee report, or commission and board attendee reports, unless there is anything that wasn't in the written record that you want to bring forward, please do that. We'll skip over it. Is there anything that we want to bring forward immediately? Paige Myers, please be quick.
Paige Myers, Holland Public Art Committee, they approved 7 new signal boxes, art designs around town. That's it.
Okay, John Andrew.
City County Planning Board. They met May 28th to vote on word methods and their county growth policy to the county commissioners. They accepted it with amendments, and it will come back on July 17th for final vote. That kind of is working with the other groups on for Helena Forward. Helena Forward land use plan is open for public comment. They opened it June 19th. The final draft copy is out there for anybody to review, and the steering committee met June 5th and had a week to make their final comments, which are closed now, so that will come down, pretty quickly. I think they have an open house in September and will vote on it shortly after to accept it as it goes to the city commission.
All right, thank you. Any other quick reports?
I just
Quickly.
wanna let everybody know that I'm still gonna pursue this sidewalk program. And but I really have to research it. It seems like you have to figure out the whole thing, figure out how to do it, how to get it paid for and all that before they'll listen to you. So that's gonna take a little while, but I have some ideas how to do that. Just gotta pull it together.
Thank you. All right, seeing no others, we'll move on to outreach report, or I'm sorry, coordinator report.
Two very quick things. We currently, let me show this up on the screen, have no one or signed up at this point to attend any meetings thus far. So if you would like to attend a meeting, all of our public meetings for the commission and admin meetings are on the website. I'm happy to send you the schedules for those as well. But this is what I'm gonna be using. So if you would like to do that, please let me know. If you've never done that before, it's pretty easy. I can send you videos of other people doing it, but just know that it's fair game. So the other thing is, if you are writing recommendations or you've got a report from one of the boards that you attend or your commission reports, what have you, that you would like to be included on the agenda or in the agenda packet, please send that to me. I like to post things 7 days in advance. That's kind of our standard for the boards and committees. So 7 days in advance is our goal. I understand that sometimes board meetings and their schedules don't lay correctly in there, so there's some wiggle room, but that's the general goal.
Yes, could you give us your email real quick?
Yes, it's AMONTIEL@helenamt.gov.
All right, any questions for the deputy clerk?
Can you do that email one more time?
Yep, it's right up here, AMONTIEL @helenamt.gov.
Okay. So no items. Okay. Moving, is that it?
Yep.
That's all. Moving on, we do not have the outreach coordinator here or the secretary, so we will skip that report. Is there anything for the general good of the order? You got something you want to bring out, right?
I'll verify that and have Alex send it out. That'd be better.
Okay. Anything for the good of the order?
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Could those of you who signed up for the ad hoc group just stay, for a couple minutes so we can work out what's legal and what we can do as easily as possible. So.
Sound good?
I move to adjourn.
Hold on.
Okay, done.
Before we adjourn, is there any public comment? Okay.
I move to adjourn.
Second.
All right, there's a motion to adjourn the meeting. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, everyone.
Okay.